Honorable President of India, heads of higher academic institutions, civil service academies, faculty members, civil service officer trainees and students, namaskar. I welcome all the institutions who are connected through video conference to this interaction with the Honorable President of India. It is a rare privilege to conduct a program of the Honorable President. Rarer still if that program is held through an e-platform connecting the academic fraternity in higher educational institutions. I thank the Honorable President for this opportunity accorded to me and to my institution. It is also a great opportunity for the academia to hear and learn from the Honorable President. As the visitor of 126 central institutions of higher learning, the Honorable President of India has motivated, enthused, guided and navigated the higher education landscape for our country. Your emphasis, Honorable Sir, on aspects relating to faculty development, linkages with foreign institutions, industry academia interface, research and innovation, international rankings, engagement with society, etc., have translated into effective outcomes. Sir, you have institutionalized and pioneered the annual conference of the heads of central institutes of higher learning. You have also initiated the practice of taking an academic delegation on your foreign visits. You have taken innovative steps to reach out to the entire educational ecosystem through the National Knowledge Network twice a year, such as the present one in this new year of 2017. Swami Vivekananda had spoken about the need for man-making education. What we need in India today is to create new educational models. The question we need to ask ourselves is, do we as educationalists have a definitive goal to pursue? Therefore, the theme of today's interaction with the Honorable President of India is a significant one. I compliment him for choosing and identifying our goalpost as building a happy society. Education signifies the cultural and intellectual wealth of a nation. This wealth is created by thoughtful, reflective minds and an ethos shaped by exchange of ideas, of debate and of discussion. What we need today is a cutting-edge research in new areas of knowledge domain, periodic course auditing to keep abreast with the evolving global trends, to train the students in critical thinking, in community service and in compassion, and to choose a happy life rather than an abrasive one. The end of all education, therefore, should be a process by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, and intellect is sharpened. Harding Carter, an American writer, had once very perceptively defined what we could give to the new generation. He said, and I quote, "There are only two lasting bequests we can hope to give our children. One of these is roots, the other the wings," unquote. The new generation is indeed created by teachers. It's just that we as teachers need to be careful, and what kind of roots we give will depend on the strength of the wings that are developed. In this context, I might refer to a recent incisive study on the role of top educational institutions such as MIT, Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. The book is titled The Excellent Sheep, The Miseducation of the American Elite and the Way to a Meaningful Life, by Yale English professor William Deresiewicz. These elite institutions train the students in commercial ethos, focusing solely on the materialistic advancement, adept at jumping hoops in the resume race. He laments that these institutions are successful in creating excellent sheep, but fail in teaching how to build a self. The university's role is, after all, cognitive, and character building should be the main objective of education, as spelled out by the well-known Harvard professor of psychology, William James. Excellent sheep is a warning to all of us, not just to create a product-ready individual, but a skilled, humane, and compassionate intellect. The Honorable President had once poignantly stated, and I quote him, "A nation that forgets the idealism and values of the past loses something vital from its future," unquote. We are indeed shaped by our culture. Let's relearn our cultural ethos. A recent study titled Happiness and Psychological Well-Being by George Burns states that two of the most important contributing factors for happiness are relationships and spiritualism. We Indians hold both these in high regard. There is, however, a need to guide the youngsters in the right direction. To me, the third factor to build a happy society has to be compassion. We as educational institutions can help develop this in our future generations. Developing a happy society rests on the pillars of compassion, relationships, and spirituality. With these few preliminary words, I humbly invite you, Honorable President Sir, to address the academic community. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellors of Central Universities, Directors of IITs, NITs, IISERs, and other institutions of higher learning, heads of various civil service academies, faculty members, officer trainees of civil services, my dear students. Let me begin by wishing you all a very happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year. May this year see the fulfillment of your dreams and aspirations. May this year be full of peace, prosperity, and harmony for our beloved country. Friends, after I started addressing you through video conference in January 2014, I have had the occasion to interact with you on this platform 6 times. Let me thank the teams from National Informatics Center and the National Knowledge Network for facilitating this interface. In the past, I have spoken on various themes such as democracy and governance, parliament and policy making, energizing higher educational institutions, youth and nation building, and making innovation way of life. I have enjoyed speaking to you as much as I have listening to you, the teachers and students. For today's talk, I have chosen the topic, building a happy society. You may well ask me why I have chosen to speak to you on this somewhat abstract theme. I was looking at the progress that India has made the last 65 years. In 1951, our population was 360 million. Today, we are a strong 1.3 billion, strong nation. In these 6.5 decades, our annual per capita income has gone up from rupees 7,500 to over rupees 77,000. GDP growth rate from 2.3% to 7.6% in 2015-16. Poverty ratio has declined from over 60% to less than 25%. The average life expectancy has gone up from 31.4 to 68.4 years. Literacy rate has gone up from 18 to 74%. Food grains production has gone up from 45 million tons to 252 million tons in 2015-16. From a nation dependent on imports to feed its population, we are a surplus country and a leading exporter of food commodities. We are today the fastest growing amongst the major economies of the world. We are the second largest reservoir of scientific and technical manpower, the third military power, the sixth member of the nuclear club, the sixth in the race for space, and the 10th industrial power. In stark contradiction on the ranking of happiness, as reported in the World Happiness Report 2015, we are at the 117th position out of 158 countries mapped. This is even more surprising when we look at our civilizational legacy. We are a nation of festivals. Celebrations of life is a part of our nature. The concept of Bahujana Sukhayo, Bahujana Hitayo, and Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina have been as old as our civilization. Our prayers are not complete unless we pray for peace or Shanti of universe, earth, trees, forests, and all others, both living and non-living. Sages taught us time and again that material gain alone cannot fulfill all our needs. Our search for peace, happiness, and well-being extends much beyond. Happiness is fundamental to the human experience of life. Ever since the Prime Minister of Bhutan brought up a resolution in the United Nations General Assembly in 2011, inviting member nations to measure happiness of their people and to use it to guide public policies, the subject has deeply engaged the minds of policymakers. Today, large number of countries are looking at happiness and well-being as the touchstones of public policy. These facts set me thinking, why can't we make attainment of happiness and well-being as a touchstone for our education system as well? And what better occasion to talk about than at the beginning of a new year with a bright, educated, energetic, and talented audience which I just see in front of me. My young friends, youth today are brimming with hope and aspirations. They pursue their life goals, which they perceive will bring them fame, success, and happiness with single-minded devotion. They consider happiness as their existential objective, which of course is understandable. They search for effective happiness in the high and lows of day-to-day emotions and evaluative happiness in the fulfillment of life objectives they have set for themselves. At the individual level, happiness is a state of mind. At the societal plane, happiness is a complex phenomenon as it is intrinsically linked to the harmony amongst and fulfillment of goals of the society and its members. Happiness is equally the outcome of non-economic and economic parameters. The quest for happiness is closely tied to the quest for sustainable development, which is the combination of human well-being, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. The focus has to be on eliminating poverty, ensuring environmental sustainability, working towards social inclusion, and providing good governance to achieve the goals of sustainable development. Eradication of poverty would A sustainable environment would prevent irreparable harm to the planetary resources and to future generations. Social inclusion would ensure access to the fruits of progress to all. Good governance implies the ability of people to shape their own lives through transparent and accountable participatory political institutions. Detailed research has shown that there are some basic attributes of happiness and well-being, factors that have been found to differentiate the level of happiness in the different regions of the world are per capita income, healthy years of life expectancy, social support, level of trust, perceived freedom to make life decisions, and generosity. Higher income is no doubt important, but equally important are a better frame of mind and body, and existence of trust in the society. Material wealth can provide comfort, but not necessarily happiness. Friends, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, sage Yajnavalkya tells his wife Maitri that whatever we do it for our happiness. And that happiness is derived from the perceived promise of fulfillment of our own incompleteness. If I extend this thought to our day-to-day work life, I can say that when I perform my duty, I do it because it brings me joy. It gives me happiness. If an educational institution evokes in a student that feeling of being fulfilled, it will create in the student a happy frame of mind where learning will become a joyful experience. Good infrastructure, inspired teachers, closeness to nature will all contribute to promoting a feeling of well-being. Students will look forward to education and desire to become a part of that education ecosystem. The institutions of higher learning, its academic leaders, faculty, students and alumni have to work together to create that ecosystem where learning becomes a joyous experience, where education leads to gaining of knowledge and wisdom and breeds a feeling of happiness. It is our educational institutions, the temples of learning, which must create these waves of happy human beings who will build a happy India. Only those who are happy can spread happiness. Youth comprises more than 65% of India's total population. If we have happy youth, they can work towards happiness in the society. The question that now arises is, what is the path to happiness? I present a toolbox which you may like to use. Happiness is associated with the joy and pride, smiling and laughter, good health and enjoyment, creativity and innovation, feeling of safety and other positive actions. You can enhance happiness by learning to wear a smile always, laugh at life, connecting with nature and getting involved with the community. Take interest in sports and nurture a healthy body. Be mindful of what you eat. Distinguish between need and greed. Bring smiles on the faces of the deprived and the underprivileged can be a truly rewarding experience. Rabindranath Tagore had once observed, and I quote, "I slept and dreamt that life was a joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy." Unquote. You can do that. Unhappiness is associated with anger, sadness, worry, depression, stress and pain. We see abundance of such negative feelings around us. Incidents of violence against women, road rage, substance abuse and suicides are all manifestations of this unhappiness. This has to be dealt with by inculcating positive emotions and by displacing negative emotions. Seek help if you need. Practice yoga and meditation. Every person suffers from negative feelings associated with unhappiness sometime or the other in their lives. The success lies in decreasing the occurrence of such feelings by increasing the strength of positive feelings associated with happiness. You can leave behind a bad experience quickly by pro-social behavior, including empathy and altruism. Look inwards for happiness. Make books your best friends. Develop a love for books and inculcate the habit of reading. Develop an interest for art and culture. Become a keen observer of your surroundings and environment. Develop a habit of lifelong learning. Think through the problems and their solutions. Remember that our happiness is not divisible. If we care for others, then we also share our knowledge and other resources with them. Happiness then becomes an inevitable derivative of a human pursuit. I invite you to use this toolbox. I wish you Godspeed and achieving a state of true happiness. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring message. I now invite the students of higher education institutions and officer trainees at civil service academies to make 2-minute observations on the topic of discussion this afternoon. Ms. Arpita Dey from Assam University, Silchar.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I pay my greetings to the Honorable President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee. It's my privilege today to receive the opportunity to discuss a pertinent issue like developing a happy society with the head of the state. Happy society to me is a society with zero oppression, zero inequality, no fear, and complete transparency. An ideal society values liberty and freedom and lays a good amount of stress on social justice and equality. For me, education is a prime tool for a perfect and happy society. Education to me is empowerment. It means development, self-dependence, and growth. It can neither be measured by the number of degrees or accolades that one may achieve, nor can be measured by the status it brings, but can only be measured by the number of degrees of awareness and willingness to bring change in the lives of the people in general and society as a whole. Education, I believe, is constructive and not just purposive for the sake of it, but an education which allows the student to explore his or her own interests and dreams, so that the person can contribute back to the society in a rather more effective and satisfying manner. After all, the society relies on the integrity of societal institutions, which are filled up by none but us, the people, and education empowers people. Thank you.
I now invite Ms. Preeti Thomas from ISA Kolkata.
Society can only be happy and free in proportion as it is virtuous. Honorable President of India, most esteemed members of academia and civil service, fellow colleagues, and all those who are listening to this session, a very good afternoon to one and all. It's an honor and privilege to address such an august gathering. And for providing me with this opportunity, I'd like to thank the organizers and my institute, ISA Kolkata. At the outset, the words of Mary Wollstonecraft that I quoted aptly accentuate the importance of virtues in the pursuit of happiness. Virtues such as love, compassion, and empathy. Our country, with its multifarious cultures, traditions, and socio-economic backgrounds, has to learn to embrace its diversity by inculcating the aforementioned values for building a prosperous and happy society. In this regard, Indian institutes such as ISA's have set an example where some of the best young minds from different parts of the country cohabit together and collaborate to pursue excellence in science, education, and research. In addition, some of these centers of higher learning also strive to spread the joy of learning in their respective local communities. For instance, ISA Kolkata has an outreach program called Ek Pehal, functioning for the past 2 years, where we, the students of the institute, volunteer to teach more than 100 children from the nearby villages and slums on a regular basis. In my opinion, such education is the strongest tool we possess to elevate the deprived ones to a better standard of living. I think such social inclusion of people from all religions, regions, castes, age groups, and gender identities has to be our first priority for building a happy society. In the end, I'll just like to say, let us come together to build this nation on the ideals of love, compassion, trust, respect, and honesty. Thank you.
Mr. Mohit Chaubey from IIT DM Jabalpur.
Yes. A very good afternoon to the Honorable President and the wise, educated citizens of my country. To build a happy society, we need to build the mind and intellect of its people. I believe self-realization is the way to accomplish this. When we realize our true nature, we start to love and respect ourselves and others. We know our true abilities and interests and feel independent, motivated, and satisfied. We value interdependence and work together towards clear goals with joy and enthusiasm. This is what spirituality aims at, and this is a feat only our education system can accomplish. Learning should be joyful. When we do not cherish the natural abilities and interests of students, our society develops a misanthropic and misogynic mindset. This is clearly visible today in the kind of language youth speaks and the kind of movies and songs they like. Insulting others is a comedy. Sadism is widespread, leading to excessive brain drain. Most of the students, and especially youth, suffer from severe identity crisis, which is paralyzing the nation. From an early age, they are not allowed to ask questions or to express their own original views, which hampers their creativity, leading to adoption of plagiarism. Hence, Nobel Prize becomes a fantasy for our country. Economic development is not the complete solution. Ravan, who had all the riches, power, knowledge, and technology, did not have a cultured mind and intellect. He is still seen as a villain. The solution is to transform our education system. We have to teach the philosophy of life and happiness to people and the science of understanding our own selves to students. And we should promote healthy lifestyle and good family values. Parallelly, we need a national motivation plan supported by mass media to tune the mindset of the nation. Spirituality should act as a strong backbone for all our actions. I believe only then our young Bharat will develop a peaceful and a fully blossomed, happy mind and intellect, and we will truly develop a happy society. Thank you.
I now invite Ms. Khyati Gupta from VNIT Nagpur.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Khyati Gupta, a final year student from Visvesvaraya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. I'm privileged that I'm able to voice my views on the topic of building a happy society in front of the Honorable President of India. Sir, in contrast to the patriarchal society in the earlier times, girls have been proving their caliber by being meticulous in fields like engineering, which were earlier male-dominated. Even mechanical engineering, that is largely associated with physical work, is showing an exponential increase in women participation. This equality imparted in the society has formed the basis of an economically progressive country, with both genders working hard towards individual and hence an overall development. I'm proud to be a student of VNIT, where female participation is highly encouraged in sports, academics, and extracurricular events like inter-NIT competitions. We at VNIT are committed and successful to explore, examine, and expedite technological advancements to be useful for larger masses in the central India. From developing tools for appropriate rural technology to nose implants, and by technology transfer to industries, we have shown commitment to improve the power scenario in the region. Sir, VNIT believes in strong bilateral dynamics between the engineering fraternity and the society to create a happy and harmonious tomorrow. With the same reason, my teachers encouraged me to do a project called Helen Keller Glove that allows gestures made by deaf and dumb people to translate into any language on the user's smartphone, facilitating normal conversation. By inculcating such human values in us, VNIT will produce efficient engineers that will steer the country to greater heights. Thank you.
Ms. Avala Akhila from NIT Trichurapalli.
Honorable President, dignitaries, and all my dear friends, a very good afternoon to you all. This is Akhila Avala from National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli. I'd like to share my views on the topic, building a happy society. Everyone deserves to be happy. And if you ask who holds the key to this, I'd say we, each and every one of us here. All it takes is a small gesture of care, gratitude, or just a little bit of your time to make someone smile. At NITT, we practice this through our activities of social responsibility. Our various SR wings united under the benevolent banner of humanity. During the internationally recognized week of Dan Utsav, our students go to various ashrams and old age homes in and around Trichy. Beyond barriers of language or culture, our volunteers bond and blend, embracing the dejected relationships as their own. Our year-round activities include teaching basics of English and computer science to government school students, providing scribes for the visually challenged, and recording audiobooks at the library for their access. We also incorporate community service as a part of our fests like Pragyan and Festember. Well, recently, NITT took up the responsibility of imparting JEE Mains training to the government school students of Perambalur. Every weekend, our volunteers go there to spend time. Well, all it took was just 2 days of our week, but it opened up a life full of opportunities for them. I'd like to conclude by saying that the day we put someone's need before our greed, the day we muster the courage to stand up for what is right, the day we start fighting our evils instead of living with them, and the day we reignite the dying flame of humanity in our society, we take our first step in building a happy society. They say even a revolution begins with a simple vision and a single step. So let's all play our part and take a step from our side in building a beautiful society. Thank you.
I invite Priyanka Pappu, Indian Railways Account Service Probationer, National Academy of Indian Railways, Vadodara. Ms. Pappu.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, on behalf of National Academy of Indian Railways, I am honored to share my views today with this learned gathering and I express my deepest sense of gratitude for granting me this opportunity. Since times immemorial, humanity has been plagued with a question of what kind of society should we live in that is good for everyone. We have been through revolutions, counter-revolutions, and movements for liberation. After all this turmoil, it is now a settled matter that happiness of a man is central to the greater good of the society. Technologies will come and go, ideologies keep changing, but the societies and the governments that have consistently looked after the basic welfare of its people have remained stable for longer time. Today, with globalization and liberalism being challenged and parochial self-interest triumphing over what is good for the world, monumental changes are apace. Forces of terror are propagating messages of violence and mayhem antithetical to the ideas of peaceful and happy society. Now we are at the crossroads. The decisions we as leaders of this society take will have bearing on our children and the generations ahead. Hence, growth has to be balanced with generosity, economics with ecology, commerce with compassion, and politics with progress. From the time it was introduced, Indian Railways has been an integral element in the nation-building process. We take pride in our past and the services rendered by us to the nation. Railways has played its part during the calamities like the Bhuj earthquake, the Chennai cyclone, and ran water train during Latur drought, catering to the needs of people there. We are humbled by the stories of compassion and sacrifice that were and are part of our organization. Our journey with National Academy of Indian Railways has reinforced our faith in this system and the direction it is moving in. Our academy has not only committed itself to train its officers towards corporate goals, but also to inculcate humility in them. It has imbibed in us the zeal to work for a better society where humanity and happiness are of paramount importance, and we wish to pass it forward to our future generations. Thank you.
Mr. Harit Chelak from Indian Information Service Probationer, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Delhi.
Afternoon, everyone. Honorable President, sir, it is a privilege for us at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication to be part of this gathering. Sir, I agree with you. A happy society is an inclusive one where everyone has access to quality education, health, and essentials of life. Such a society can only be achieved when its constituent members have that one crucial quality in them, empathy. An empathetic society is the first vital step towards a happy society. It is only when people understand the suffering of others that they can make a collective effort to alleviate the pain of those suffering. It is only then that a society can achieve happiness as a whole. Gandhiji understood this. He asked us to judge our actions in the context of the poorest man we ever saw. That is empathy, sir, the root of a happy society. Being an officer of the Indian Information Service, I would like to touch upon the role of communication in building a happy society. Through effective communication, we can ensure an informed and sensitive public discourse and attempt to instill in our people that indispensable trait, empathy, the ability to understand the suffering of others. This is not an overnight process, but one that spans generations. It is difficult, the road ahead is long, but if we strive, we can certainly get there. As communicators, officers, and students, it is our mandate at IIMC to build such an awakened citizenry and through it, a happy society. Thank you, sir.
I now have the honor of inviting the President of India, Rashtrapati Ji, for his closing remarks and reflections.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor. I am indeed very happy to have the opportunity, as I mentioned in my observations, that I enjoy talking to you, but perhaps I enjoy much more listening to you when you respond to my talks. And today is also no exception to that feeling. I congratulate all of you who participated and have made their observations. There is broad consensus. What I say, what you feel. And that consensus is that we must make endeavor to build a happy society. We also agree that each one of us, who are the social beings living in the society, can contribute in building the happy society. Technically, it is correct that the international community has started talking of it seriously and took it as an important measure of guiding their public policies. After fourth king of Bhutan, he first articulated that we should not talk merely of the gross domestic product. We should also emphasize on gross domestic happiness. And if we can create gross domestic happiness, our economic progress would be easier. Subsequently, what I have referred to in my speech, his Prime Minister made it a policy statement in the United Nations General Assembly, and thereafter the resolution has been taken. And every year now we have the report, annual report of the happiness measurements in respect of various states. There is, of course, everything cannot be done by the students or the teachers or a section of the society. Larger responsibility lies with those public authorities, public personalities who are entrusted with the responsibility of governance. Governance of the national institutes and governance of the international institutions, including the highest bodies like World Bank, etc. Now, how it could be achieved? Debate is going on. Debate will continue to go on. But I am happy that all of you invariably pointed out that our involvement would be to create more and more compassion, love, reduce the areas of discontent, expanding the areas of content, satisfaction. Then we will find that it would be easy for us to achieve happiness. Always one can look at whether a glass is half empty or half full. It is attitudinal questions. Materially it is the same. But how do you look at and how do you describe it? Your description reflects your attitude and approach towards the fact, towards the situation. During my student days, I used to have one example from my teacher that you are to shape your attitude and shape your mind through the various process, various interactions, and then you think of it, ponder over it, and you will find the answer. And he used to give an example that a traveler was passing through a street and he came across three persons. Three persons were doing the same job, breaking stones. So, when he was approached, that what are you doing? His response was very simple, prosaic, matter of fact, that I am breaking stones. When another man was approached, he was breaking stones. He said, I am earning my livelihood. And the third man, when he was approached, doing the same job, he said, I am paving way for the travelers, for the people. Same job, attitudes are different. Therefore, to be happy, we shall have to choose what approach we will have. You can always have causes of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. It may be rare to have causes of satisfaction, but you can make even the causes of dissatisfaction to derive some satisfaction from there. To the extent you will be able to derive that satisfaction, you will be happy. Therefore, happiness is to be created by ourselves. I am happy. I am using that word again and deliberately, that I am happy to generate some interest, and surely it will not be confined to today's interaction. In your conversations, discourse, in the coming days and coming weeks, surely you will think of, and that was the precise objective. I wanted to choose this subject. It is something abstract, and at the same time it is very real in our life, because we cannot live in perpetual frustration, agony, sad state of mind. That is not life. That is practically death. Even physically, we are alive. We must live in joy. There must be laughter. There must be smiles in life, despite difficulties, sufferings, miseries, discontent, unacceptable situations. But one small smile, one pleasant exchange can change the whole atmosphere. I do believe you young friends will change the whole atmosphere, remove gloom, and bring smiles, laughter. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. But before I conclude, I would like to specially mention that I deeply appreciate the cooperation from all the Vice Chancellors of the Central Universities, Directors of IITs, NITs, heads of the institutions, and heads of the government training academies, all the faculty members, participant students. My special thanks is to Professor S.V. Raghavan and his team of the National Knowledge Network. It is his cooperation which has helped us, helped me, to share this platform with you on the last 6 occasions. Now it is on the 7th occasion. His team, National Knowledge Network, and NIC team, who have provided these facilities, we deeply appreciate and acknowledge their contribution to facilitate these. I offer my special thanks to you, Madam Vice Chancellor, for initiating the discussions by welcoming me and also moderating the whole function very skillfully and ably. My thanks to you, and again my best wishes for the new year, and I am confident that you will make this year 2017 a year of bringing happiness, a year of change to create a happy society. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sir, for beginning 2017 on that very warm and happy note. As we come to a close of this inspiring afternoon, I have this pleasant task of asking Professor Rajiv Sangalji to give a vote of thanks from IIT BHU. Professor Sangal.
Respected Rashtrapati Ji, a beautiful morning this we had today. We have heard your words with rapt attention. We will work on ideas that you have outlined today and your exhortations about smile and laughter and compassion. We will work to develop the sensitivities of our students and faculty towards people less fortunate than ourselves. We are aware that it is our responsibility to work for betterment of the downtrodden amongst our countrymen. Our endeavor would be to put this in practice in our profession as well as our life. Any practitioner would realize that by being considerate to others, one also becomes more satisfied and happier within oneself. Thus, true individual happiness is a result of and leads to a more humane and happy society. I take this opportunity to share with you an initial step that several IITs, including IIT BHU, have taken. We have started a 3 to 5 week long induction program for the incoming batch of young undergraduate students. A strong component of human values as its integral part is designed to develop their awareness and sensitivity, compassion, sense of equality, and character to face peer pressure and untruth. It develops positive attitude. It connects students with teachers and supporting staff in hostels. It also makes them reflect on their relationship with their families and on larger issues of society and environment, all leading hopefully to happiness and fulfillment now and in later life. Sir, on behalf of the academic fraternity, I express my gratitude to you for enlightening us with your thoughts on a topic which has become so important today and in India, and if I may add, the world. Thanks to the members of academic fraternity which have joined this interaction in large numbers today, and the technical teams that have made this interaction on the e-platform possible. Thank you, sir. Now I request everyone to rise for the national anthem.